All right, now I'm glad to have this next guest, Ty Kelly. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Ty. So, how's it going? It's Jake here.
Hey, good. Okay.
We're gonna start off with your first question. So, you played 855 minor league games before your first call up in 2016 in the Mets organization. How did it feel to finally get that call up after all that work you put in?
I mean, it's your dream your whole life, you know. So I mean, like everybody goes through it. Tons of guys are in and out of the minors, and I think you just have that much more appreciation for it when you've seen, you know, tons of like so many of your teammates getting released and or not making it before you. So you finally get a chance, especially like that year. TJ Rivera still hadn't had his call up, and we were both doing really well at the time. So you just have a bigger, you know, appreciation for it when it's taken so long. And yeah, I mean, it's just like it's what we live for.
All right, Ty, first off, I wanted to thank you so much for taking this time to allow us to interview you on our podcast. So for my question, most fans do not get the opportunity to hear about the free agency process for a player from, you know, the actual player. So what has that process been like for you thus far?
Yeah, so I'm going through the free agent process right now, and I'm sitting on my couch, and that's pretty much it. You just kind of wait. Your agent's doing all the work. He's calling the teams, or teams are calling him, and pretty much you just wait and see who has the best offer. I mean, you obviously just keep hoping for offers, and yeah, so it's just a lot of sitting and waiting. I imagine that it's different for a lot of different players, but for the most part, you know, the average player is just kind of hanging out and trying to, you know, figure it out. As soon as the big free agents get signed and all that, then the dominoes start falling, and then you can kind of get a feel of what's going to happen for you.
Okay. So for Mesmerized, you wrote a set of very in-depth articles about several highlights and pieces of your career, including the moment you found out that you were drafted. Is there any way you could sort of explain to the listeners what that experience was like for you?
Sure. Yeah, it was. Everything that I wrote in the article was true. I didn't have to embellish really. I was. You know, I went to UC Davis, so we were on the quarter system, which meant that the school year didn't end until the first or second week of June. So the draft was happening while we were taking finals. So I had to set up in one of my finals, which was African Americans in Television, which was a very important class for my education. So I had to talk to the professor beforehand and let her know that I was going to have to be fielding calls basically. So the only part that I didn't mention is that she let me take it in a separate room so that I wouldn't be disturbing everyone else. But literally I was just in some room with a couple other professors, and I got, you know, a few calls during my final, and basically just teams checking in to see if I would sign in certain rounds and things like that. So yeah, I was mid-final when I got drafted, and I didn't know when I got drafted, what round it was or anything like that. So it was a pretty interesting and very, humbling, I guess, process to not have the huge celebration or anything, or really even know what was going on. I tried to follow the draft tracker for the first 5 or 6 rounds, and then when I wasn't drafted, I had to get on my bike and get to class.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Here with Ty Kelly, you also wrote about struggles as a major leaguer who is in limbo between the MLB and the minor leagues. How do you try to overcome the frustrations that come along with a minor league demotion or a demotion in general?
I mean, I think the best way to handle it is, just trying to work on the things that you need to get better at. And it's just kind of like what I wrote about is just, it can be really hard sometimes. I mean, you want to keep working on things, but at the same time, you're most likely not a, young, like 23-year-old anymore or something like that, where they just want you to work on things and then you presumably get better and they call you back up. I mean, you never know if it's going to be your last time getting called up, or what's going to happen. So it can be very tough. And I mean, like I said, you just have to try to control the things that you can control. I mean, you've heard that a million times, especially in baseball. Just try to control the things that are within your powers to have any say over, and just get better and hope that another opportunity arises. But it definitely is easier said than done.
Yeah, that's an awesome mindset to keep, and I hope it continues to be. I hope that mindset helps you. So you played for Team Israel in 2017 during the World Baseball Classic, a team that came into the tournament with very low expectations. It was ranked actually 41st in the world, but Team Israel was able to beat the odds and make it very far into the tournament. What was it like to play for Team Israel, and what do you attribute to Team Israel's success?
It was amazing. It was so much fun to play in. The atmosphere in Korea and Japan was just, it was, once in a lifetime, to be able to play, not just in those stadiums with those crowds, but to be playing for a country and playing against their country. We had the opening game against Korea of the whole tournament. We were the first game, so we played South Korea. And, we ended up winning, but it was crazy to just kind of be thrust into this whole situation right away. And we had a lot of young guys on the team, some older, veteran guys. But yeah, I think that we had a lot of success because, I mean, we had good players on our team. And I think that, I don't know why people thought that we didn't have good players, I guess, but we had a lot of guys that are playing baseball for a living, and we all kind of had something to prove, I think, which always makes a difference, no matter what level you're at or what sport it is. If you have that edge and you have something to prove still, guys fighting for jobs or guys fighting for, relevancy in the big leagues or just in baseball in general, that's kind of the perfect storm for exceeding expectations, I think. So, we had a lot of good things come together and good players on the team and some, for the amount of young guys in the minors we had guys like Sam Fold and Ike Davis, veterans, and Ryan LaBarnway, Jason Marquis, who's like 40 years old. So we had a good mix of guys also.
By the way, I for some reason I really love that Team Israel team. The Team Israel team, and I just remember that year just looking at the scores and keeping note of Team Israel and everything like that. And I love the mensch on the bench and all that stuff. It was really a fun team to watch. Getting out in front of all the teams early in the game, I just really loved it, and I kept tabs on it. Now, my next question, we're here with Ty Kelly. You hit your first home run against Jameson Taillon in the Pittsburgh Pirates. How did you feel after you hit that home run?
I felt awesome. I mean, we had also just traded for Kelly Johnson, who hadn't gotten there yet. So it was kind of it was a big moment for me in more than one way. I mean, I feel like it kind of like set a tone for me that I could play in the big leagues. So there's always like that moment at every level, I feel, where you kind of have this, I don't know, you have this like epiphany, I guess, that you can really play at this level, and at a lot of levels, hopefully you're feeling like you can dominate that against those guys. So I think for me, it was just a big moment just because it kind of,